100 Thieves is killing it, and the way they're doing it is they're doing what every esports team should be doing. They're focusing on their content creators, they're picking their big names in content creation, and they're exploiting those people out, and then they're using those brands to leverage intelligent apparel and stuff that gamers identify with to get it to their doorstep. I have talked about a lot in the past concepts like, man, esports teams are way overvalued. How the hell can they justify their valuations? You're seeing esports teams valued at $100 million, $200 million, $300 million. What the heck is going on? IGC just raised $30 million in, I think, a Series C or Series D. And now esports company 100 Thieves is raising $35 million in a Series B. So do esports companies deserve these valuations? Does 100 Thieves deserve $35 million in Series B? And what is going on in the industry and the ecosystem where they're raising this kind of money? What's happening, and what's this all about? I actually love that 100 Thieves raised $35 million in Series B. I'm so glad that they did, because 100 Thieves is maybe one of the only esports teams out there that actually deserves this valuation. And I'm going to totally break that down and cover that today as to why that's the case. So why is 100 Thieves actually worth a $35 million raise? Let's look through the article first. Esports company co-owned by Grammy-winning artist Drake, talent manager Scooter Braun, billionaire Dan Gilbert, and former pro gamer Nadeshot announced today that they closed a $35 million Series B. The funding round was raised by a private equity New York-based firm called Artist Capital Management. Chief Investment Officer Josh will join 100 Thieves board of directors, and the rest is made up of previous backers. This brings the total funding to $60 million. And others include Salesforce CEOs, Dropbox CEO, ventures from Sequoia Capital. Forbes last fall estimated the company was worth $90 million after a single year of competing. The fresh capital goes towards a 15,000 square foot training facility and a headquarters, as well as expanding into new games and increasing its apparel production. The facility will be the center of the universe for all things 100 Thieves. Settling in as early as October, the offices will house the company's staff, including players, coaches, and content creators, but also as a retail storefront for fans. Unlike many esports companies, 100 Thieves has made its retail arm a significant piece of its overall revenue. All of its seasonal apparel drops have sold out over 20 minutes or less, with one selling out faster with more than 50% product. In the most recent sale in April, brought in over $500,000 over selling out in 5 minutes. I don't even think we've scratched the surface of what it could be in the future. Cool. So what's this about? So I really think that most esports teams are overvalued. And when I say overvalued, what I mean is they probably don't deserve the money and the investment that they're getting. Whenever I see like $10 million or $20 million go into a new esports team with no brand and no backing or anything, I get like a little bit nervous, because that's echoing into the ecosystem, and what that's going to do is create that big esports bubble that we've talked a lot about on this channel. And it's going to cause the ecosystem of esports to be unhealthy overall. But when a great company gets funding, it's so cool to see, because this is going to take 100 Thieves into the stratosphere. I am a huge fan of 100 Thieves. Oh, man. First of all, they have very, very respectful investors, right? Salesforce, Sequoia, one of the most respected venture capital firms in the world. Sequoia is debatably the most respected venture capitalist firm on earth. Like, it's insane. These are all super heavy hitters, Dropbox CEOs, Drake, right? Scooter Braun, Dan Gilbert, big heavy hitters that are behind this and have their teams behind this. But what is the real thing that 100 Thieves has done that justifies this massive valuation and the $35 million? Does anybody know? It's apparel. The fact that they created a brand around their apparel. So there should be 100 Thieves Gaming, and then there's 100 Thieves, the actual apparel brand. This one, I believe. Yep. So you'll see 100 Thieves Gaming, and this will be like their clips and, you know, some of their team stuff. But then when you actually go to this, here is their apparel brand, which is entirely just developed for a certain gaming audience that's like streetwear, you know, like everybody can kind of like be cool and still be gamers. And it's just a very like slick and like clean look. And this has exploded. And the way they're doing their marketing is so neat, because what they're doing is they're doing these limited releases and they're hyping it up a ton. They're advertising it with their influencers and their content creators. And then they're releasing these short drops, and they're making like hundreds of thousands of dollars per drop. Then they sell out and they do it again, which increases the hype. Plus, they have like a really, really good idea of what their brand voice is. So one of the ways that you can tell why a company is raising money and if it's worth it for them to do it is you look at what they're actually going to do with that money. And there was a very small part of this article that I think a lot of people missed that I want to read to you. The fresh capital will go towards a 15,000 square foot training facility and headquarters in Los Angeles, as well as expanding into new games and increasing its apparel production. Increasing its apparel production, cool. But what about this? The offices will house company staff, including players, coaches, and content creators, and will serve not just as a production studio and training space, but also as a retail storefront for fans. That's huge. That is such a big brain play. What that means is 100 Thieves is going into retail. And this is something that gaming has done through places like Hot Topic and even like limited runs in like places like Walmart successfully. 100 Thieves making this move is a galaxy brain play. They are going to move into retail storefronts, and then they're going to start building retail chains with this kind of funding. And that's the ultimate end goal of this move. You also see a lot of YouTube influencers who are I think some of the best marketers on YouTube. Logan Paul comes to mind, right? Is also building storefronts for his Maverick brand. And these are immensely successful, hugely successful. If we look at retail as an industry, what we're seeing is that bad retail, things like your Kmart's and like your Sears and stuff like that are going out of business, but good retail like Lululemon and businesses that are what is the furniture brand? Can't think of it right now, but like I'll use Lululemon as an example. They're creating like more lifestyle-based stores where you can get drinks, you can hang out and things like that. You can also buy merch. It's sort of like a new age, like new age retail is actually exploding. It's doing quite well. And there's a lot of new retail space that's doing great. And some companies are adapting to and they're doing okay. So 100 Thieves getting in on this game is great. And they're absolutely worth this valuation. Like 100 Thieves is killing it from every perspective. And the way they're doing it is they're doing what every esports team should be doing. They're centering on their content creators. They're focusing on their content creators. They're picking their big names in content creation, and they're exploiting those people out. And then they're using those brands to leverage intelligent apparel and stuff that gamers identify with to get it to their doorstep. And this sales strategy is going to do incredible for 100 Thieves. When you look at the other organizations that 100 Thieves is comparing themselves against, in terms of the age of those organizations versus the age of 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves has really been in the game for about a year, maybe a little bit more, which is it's no time at all in the grand time of being in business. A year is nothing. What they're doing with that amount of time is crazy. There are so many startups in the LCS, in the Overwatch League, and then increasingly they're going to be in the CWL that have absolutely no progress compared to this. If we look at the roster of teams in the in the LCS in 2019, and you just look at the teams in North America and like what they're doing compared to 100 Thieves as a brand, the new ones, right? It's not even close what these teams are doing in terms of their brand. 100 Thieves is killing it. I'm so pumped on them, and I love seeing intelligent brand voice combined with great marketing, combined with great investment decisions. When I talk about making the ecosystem of esports healthy, this is what we need to see. We need to see way more of this and like less investment into overpriced leagues, overpriced franchises, and things that don't make sense. This is the intelligent way to run a business. 100 Thieves is an example of an esports organization that is making the right plays. We need to see more of this in the industry. All right. That's my talk on 100 Thieves. If you enjoyed it, pop that subscription button. Support me on YouTube and on Twitch. I'm live almost every day. I appreciate all y'all. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you again next time.